Imagine for a moment that every word you utter is a seed flung into fertile soil, and the soil, rich, dark, uncritical, cannot help but incubate whatever is planted. What determines whether that seed blossoms into a towering oak or a strangling weed is not the loudness of your declaration, but the life pulsing inside it. When you approach the unseen universe holding a wish as though it were as solid as the ground beneath your feet, you energize your statement with the power of factual experience. In that instant, you are no longer a petitioner nervously knocking at some distant gate. You are the author writing events into the script of tomorrow. The universe can only echo what you impress upon it, and it listens not for desperation, but for certainty, the quiet, unmistakable tone of already done. Consider a tuning fork struck in an empty hall. The initial vibration may seem small, yet it travels across space, finds the matching frequency in another fork, and sets it humming in sympathetic resonance. Your inner speech is precisely such a vibration. Speak from the mood of possession, and the outer world detects, matches, and eventually amplifies that frequency in physical form. This is why two people can recite identical words, while only one obtains results. One speaks as a ruler issuing decrees, the other as a beggar seeking favors. Substance flows toward the command, seldom toward the plea. To cultivate that commanding state, practice feeling the reality of your wish before logic grants you permission. Begin with something simple, a cup of coffee delivered exactly the way you like it, or a compliment from a stranger using a phrase you would not expect. Close your eyes and slip into the ease of the completed act, the aroma of the roast, the warmth of the ceramic, the precise lilt of the stranger's voice. Linger there until your heartbeat and breathing adopt the rhythm of satisfaction. When you open your eyes, refuse to search for proof. Continue your day as though the experience already belongs to your yesterday. The small successes that follow will train the mind to accept larger feats in the same effortless manner. Understand that feeling is the language of creation. Thought sketches the outline, but feeling supplies the color, texture, and vitality that entice reality to congeal. A daydream spiced with doubt remains vapor. A daydream welded to conviction hardens into fact. Therefore, you must become a connoisseur of emotional states, able to summon gratitude, relief, or triumph at will. Keep a private gallery of memories, moments when life surprised you with something delightful. Revisit these memories until you can reproduce their emotional fragrance in seconds. Then pour that fragrance over your current desire, sealing it in an atmosphere the universe recognizes as already granted. Someone will ask, what of effort? Shouldn't I strive, plan, take action? Certainly. But action taken without the inner state is frantic rowing against the tide. Think of effort as movement downstream once you have positioned the boat in the current of fulfillment. Act as inspired, yes, but act from the awareness that success preceded the effort, not from anxiety that effort must create success. When you pick up the telephone to call a friend, you do so because you know the friend exists and will likely answer, not because you hope the call will summon the friend into existence. Approach every task, writing a resume, attending an interview, exercising for better health, with the same casual certainty. The skeptic might counter, my circumstances are stubborn, bills must be paid, illnesses treated, relationships mended. Does not reality prove the scarcity of my wish? The answer is that sensory evidence reflects, it does not originate. Imagine standing before a mirror and frowning, then waiting for the reflection to smile before you do. The mirror cannot initiate change. It can only confirm the expression presented to it. Likewise, the external world is your mirrored image, slower in response but exact in fidelity. Gaze at it long enough with a new inner expression, and it will be compelled to comply, even against years of momentum to the contrary. Cultivating conviction need not require iron will. Gentle repetition often suffices. Whisper an affirmation when you wake, when you shower, when traffic stalls. Let the phrases ride your breath like a mantra. I am already provided for. Or, everything conspires for my benefit. The goal is not to hypnotize the universe, but to tune your nervous system until it resonates with completion. Soon the words drop away, and the feeling alone remains, humming like an undercurrent through your everyday tasks. Guard, however, against the subtle habit of announcing lack while pretending to affirm abundance. Saying, I will have, implies you currently do not. Saying, one day, places fulfillment just beyond your grasp. Transform every future tense sentence into a present tense celebration. Speak as though recounting yesterday's news. Opportunity found me. My body healed. Peace filled our home. This grammatical shift is more than semantics. It is an energetic relocation from desire to possess. Language molds consciousness, and consciousness molds events. If doubts intrude, do not wrestle them, replace them. Introduce a new imaginal scene the way one inserts fresh film into a projector. When worry paints a picture of failure, pause, inhale, and splice in the scene where you succeed. View it in first person, savor its textures, and feel the relief cascade through your chest. Repetition dissolves resistance, for the mind accepts what it encounters most frequently. Eventually, the doubting narrative grows faint from neglect, like an unused path overtaken by grass. Remember that conviction is contagious. Surround yourself with voices, books, lectures, friends who speak the language of confident creation. Their stories become blueprints for your subconscious, illustrating how swiftly life can transform when approached from the right angle. Yet, even if you journey alone, know that one individual aligned with inner certainty outweighs 1,000 marching under the banner of probability. Probability is merely history measured. Conviction is the birthplace of new history. The universe interprets conviction as an instruction to reorganize itself. Invisible strands rearrange people, places, and times to correspond with the emotional coordinates you broadcast. When results emerge, do not attribute them to coincidence. Acknowledge the causal chain running backward into your own heartbeat, for this recognition reinforces the lesson. You command reality from the inside out. Each success, however small, is an apprenticeship for grander works. Soon you will speak with the ease of a sculptor who sees the finished statue, nestled inside uncarved stone, and needs only to chip away what does not belong. And with every decisive word, the stone of circumstance yields, revealing form where once there was only rough possibility. Desire is a voice of divinity translated into human language. The moment it stirs within you, it proves that the very thing you long for already breathes somewhere in imagination, waiting for the invitation to appear in form. Picture a master architect unveiling a scroll that contains every dimension, material, and decorative flourish of a magnificent home. The blueprint is flawless, but until the owner approves construction, the house remains an idea. Likewise, each yearning that knocks at the door of your awareness is an unveiled scroll from the deeper self, a silently rolled-out promise of what can and should be. It does not arrive to torment you with deficiency. It arrives as evidence that the finished structure exists in the invisible and seeks occupancy in the visible. Your role is not to question the timing or feasibility, but to grant the building permit by assuming the project is already funded, staffed, and underway. Begin with a change in posture toward desire itself. Most people treat longing like a creditor demanding payment, responding with either anxiety or bargaining. Yet longing is closer to an inheritance. Notice, funds have been placed in your name. Sign here to collect. Signing happens through feeling. When you taste the satisfaction of possession, even if only in imagination, you stamp the document with emotional ink, and the universe records the transaction as complete. From that moment onward, invisible forces coordinate shipments of circumstance, people, and opportunity to fill your physical storehouse with what your inward senses already hold. One may ask, If desire is a guarantee of fulfillment, why do so many wishes fade ungranted? The answer is that people often revise the blueprint negatively after receiving it. They gaze at the immaculate design and immediately sketch over it with graffiti of doubt, cost estimates about money they lack, calculations of how long it will take, memories of past failures, forecasts of other people's opinions. The pristine scroll becomes marred, and the subconscious construction crew, taking instructions literally, now attempts to build a house weakened by uncertainty, walls half erected, doors missing, foundations misaligned. Correct this by refusing to vandalize your own plans. When contradicting thoughts arise, treat them like gusts of wind flapping an architect's draft. Gently lay a hand on the page, flatten it, and focus again on the perfect lines beneath. Educate yourself in the skill of imaginative occupancy. Select a desire, perhaps a career advancement, a healed relationship, or vibrant health. Instead of begging for the outcome, relocate to the end scene with the ease of stepping through a doorway. Hear colleagues congratulating you in the corridor of your upgraded office. Feel a loved one's warm embrace after reconciliation. Or stroll up a staircase without pain. Saturate your senses. Notice light glinting off polished furniture. Inhale the subtle fragrance of flowers on your desk. Savor the rhythm of painless movement. The richer the sensory palette, the more vividly your nervous system encodes the experience as memory rather than fantasy. Memory demands correspondence. The world must supply events that vindicate what the inner eye remembers. It is crucial to understand that the universe reasons entirely by correspondence, not moral worthiness. It does not ask whether you deserve the dream, any more than soil asks whether a seed deserves to sprout. Plant a seed of oak, receive an oak. Plant a seed of thorn, receive a thorn. Therefore be unashamed of large ambitions. Mistaken humility that belittles desire is simply disbelief in the generosity of your own deeper nature. True humility is the recognition that the creative power is willing to flow wherever you aim it, so aim it boldly and responsibly. A practical exercise will anchor this truth. Each evening before sleep, choose a single unfulfilled desire and phrase it in 12 words or fewer, present tense, positive, emotion charged. I enjoy recurring streams of abundant income. Or, I laugh daily with my reconciled sister. Whisper the sentence softly until the words dissolve, and only the feeling remains. Like fragrance after a candle is blown out, drift into slumber holding that subtle aroma. Sleep knits the feeling into the fabric of subconscious mind, and subconscious mind controls the loom of circumstance. Repeat for 7 consecutive nights and you will notice intuitive nudges, impulses to send an email, visit a place, or open a long-ignored book. Follow them briskly without overthinking. They are the tools arriving on site. Guard against measurement mania. A builder does not stand on the empty lot each morning lamenting that the house is still invisible. He trusts the schedule, knowing that excavation precedes framing and wiring precedes drywall. Likewise, trust the invisible stages. Sometimes your desire first reshapes your beliefs, then your habits, then your environment. Impatience over unseen progress uproots the seed. Instead, practice a serene expectancy, a gentle but unbroken confidence that the work is proceeding behind the curtain. Celebrate subtle shifts, an encouraging conversation, a flash of insight, a sudden sense of peace, as signs that delivery trucks are en route. When contradictory evidence surfaces, treat it as scaffolding, not sabotage. Scaffolding often obscures the emerging facade, yet its presence proves construction is active. If, while manifesting financial freedom, an unexpected bill appears, call it a last-minute clearing of old debris. Acknowledge it without panic, affirm the blueprint, and the structure will emerge sturdier for the clearing. Your interpretation determines whether temporary contradictions become permanent obstacles or mere stepping stones. Smoothed by confidence, remember that desire evolves. A completed house gives birth to new wishes, gardens to plant, rooms to decorate, gatherings to host, View each fulfilled desire as a launch pad, not a resting place. By welcoming fresh longings with the same respect you once gave your first, you keep creativity circulating, and life stays expansive rather than stagnant. Just as rivers remain pure by continuous flow, consciousness remains vibrant through unceasing reception and issuance of new blueprint. Ultimately, treating desire as divine blueprint restores rightful hierarchy. Imagination commands, action executes, and outer reality confirms. The sequence never reverses. When you honor this order, you liberate effort from drudgery and imbue it with purpose. Work becomes not a chase but a dance to music you already hear internally, steps guided by the rhythm of fulfillment. Thus, every heartbeat, word, and gesture cooperates with unseen hands that are forever building, furnishing, and beautifying the mansion of your life. Years ago, I boarded a crowded subway car after a lecture, feeling the tired throb in my feet and the close press of strangers. A man at the far end spoke loudly into his phone, dragging everyone within earshot into his tale of unpaid bills and aching disappointments. Without realizing it, the passengers around him began to slump, shoulders rounding, expressions dimming, as though his words carried physical weight. I watched that gray mood spread across the car like a fog, until, almost impulsively, I threaded an invisible sentence through the noise. This journey is swift. We are all spirited and safe. I said nothing aloud, only listened inwardly to the cadence of that statement until it resonated in my chest. Within seconds, the man fell silent, glanced up as if awakened from a spell, and the entire carriage seemed to breathe easier. We reached the next station sooner than expected. People stepped onto the platform, smiling, straight-backed, whispering that the ride felt remarkably fast. That moment crystallized a truth I now teach insistently. Your internal commentary is the unseen architect drafting blueprints for every minute of your life. Whether whispered beneath breath or paraded across a stage, spoken or silently rehearsed, each phrase files itself in the vault of the subconscious where real work occurs. There the words thicken into mood. Mood condenses into attitude, and attitude eventually ossifies into circumstance. The world you inhabit is therefore an audio-visual transcript of yesterday's private monologue. Change the monologue and inevitably, infallibly, the transcript rewrites itself on the screen of experience. Begin by monitoring the chatter that trickles through your mind during the most ordinary tasks. Washing dishes, you may proclaim, "I never have enough time." Walking past a mirror, you might sigh, "I look exhausted." Glancing at your bank balance, the sentence could be, "Money always slips away." These remarks seem harmless because they pass without resistance, yet the subconscious records them as design specs. Construct a schedule sparse with spare minutes. Sculpt a body that appears weary. Arrange finances to evaporate. To reverse the process, replace such casual verdicts with statements framed as neutral facts of being. Time stretches to fit my tasks. My reflection grows fresher daily. Income exceeds outflow with grace. Speak them softly but authoritatively, as though reporting the weather. Too natural to doubt, too ordinary to debate. Some will object, but I would feel dishonest, even foolish, declaring what does not yet appear true. Realize that you are already declaring countless fictions each day, though you call them observations. I am always unlucky. Nobody listens to me. These headaches are incurable. When you recite those lines, you reinforce results you dislike, yet you accept the practice because it masquerades as realism. The mind is indifferent to whether a statement flatters or diminishes you. It cares only about repetition and emotional tone. You are therefore free to introduce new fictions, uplifting ones, until evidence rises to certify them as facts. A practical drill will reveal the potency of re-scripted self-talk. Choose a recurring annoyance, perhaps tardiness, shyness, or chronic fatigue. Formulate a concise present-tense decree that contradicts the pattern. I arrive precisely when I choose. I speak with calm confidence. Energy renews me hourly. Repeat this decree in rhythm with an everyday motion, such as brushing teeth or climbing stairs. After 3 days, you will notice subtle shifts. You glance at a clock and discover you are early. A conversation flows effortlessly. The afternoon slump dissipates. These early signals are scaffolding around the emerging structure. Persist, and what began as a whispered sentence crystallizes into an effortless habit. Guard the doorway of inner speech, especially during emotional spikes. Anger, fear, or excitement accelerate the planting process, stamping words in bold ink upon the subconscious. Should irritation flare, resist declaring, "This always happens to me." Instead, breathe, veil the old phrase in silence, and choose a new line, such as, "Everything unfolds in my favor, even this," spoken internally at the crest of emotion. That sentence reroutes the energetic current toward constructive ends, and what threatens to become a replay of past misery mutates into an unforeseen gift. Extend the practice to spoken dialogue, for the mouth merely amplifies what the mind rehearses. When someone asks about your plans, avoid disclaimers like, "if I'm lucky," or "unless something goes wrong." Offer calm certainties. "You'll see me launching the project soon. I'm enjoying perfect health these days." Such statements influence listeners, yes, but their primary target is still your own subconscious, which treats your vocal cords as a signal to intensify construction. Speak as one whose blueprints are signed, sealed, and delivered for execution. To accelerate reconditioning, conduct what I call the midnight audit. Before sleep, replay the day's conversations, pausing wherever self-deprecating or fearful remarks escaped your lips. In imagination, overdub those lines with empowering equivalents, matching tone and cadence as closely as possible. Hear yourself saying, not, "I'm terrible with names," but, "I remember people easily." This retroactive editing dissolves the magnetic pull of the original statement and installs a new instruction set, just as the mind drifts into its most receptive state. By morning, the updated code begins generating compatible events. Remember that self-talk also includes silent imagery. A fleeting mental picture of fumbling during tomorrow's presentation is as potent as a sentence predicting failure. Replace that image instantly with one of yourself speaking fluently, audience engaged, applause rising. Hold it at most 10 seconds. Quality outranks duration. The purpose is not marathon visualization, but decisive imprinting repeated whenever the mind drifts toward the old snapshot. Finally, cultivate an environment that echoes your chosen inner language. Read biographies of triumph. Listen to music that lifts your posture. Spend time with individuals who greet possibility with a grin rather than a grimace. Their words reinforce your own, establishing a surround sound of affirmative messages until optimism becomes your native tongue. In that atmosphere, the subconscious works unhindered, orchestrating coincidences that feel miraculous to the untrained observer but are simply the inevitable fruits of disciplined speech. Soon you will look upon situations that once intimidated you and feel an almost amused detachment, as though recalling a childhood fear of shadows. What changed? Only the sentence structure of your inner narration. Yet from that grammatical adjustment, ripples extend outward, reforming relationships, finances, health, and even the cadence of time itself. The architect, having redrawn the blueprint, witnesses walls shift, doors appear, and sunlight flood rooms formerly bricked in by doubt. Speak then with deliberate artistry, and watch the edifice of your life rise to match the majesty of your chosen words. Silence is not merely the absence of sound. It is a living chamber where thought ripens into substance and imagination is freed from the editorial glare of waking logic. In daytime, you engage in constant exchange, voices outside, alerts on screens, your own inner commentary critiquing every move. Yet the moment you withdraw from that circuitry, a subtle power rises to greet you, like a musician stepping onto an unlit stage where even the faintest note can fill the hall. Enter that hush consciously, and you discover a pliable medium eager to take any impression you press upon it. Treat the interval just before sleep as sacred laboratory time. There the walls between seen and unseen dissolve, and what you incubate in feeling must, sooner or later, hatch as fact. Begin by recognizing the physiological gateway that nightly drowsiness provides. As brainwaves drift from busy beta to slow theta, critical faculties dim, and the subconscious stands guard alone, wide open to suggestion. No committee of skepticism remains to veto your imaginings. In that twilight, a 30-second scene laden with sensory detail outweighs hours of rote affirmation muttered while wide awake. Therefore, design a concise vignette, no longer than a moment, whose enactment would be undeniable proof that your wish is fulfilled. Perhaps you desire harmonious marriage. See a glint of gold on your hand while you wash dishes and feel the ring's cool circle. Perhaps you seek promotion. Hear the clack of a new office door closing softly behind you. Keep it simple, vivid, and loopable. The subconscious craves clarity, not grandeur. When you recline for sleep, lie flat on your back if comfortable, allowing gravity to settle, racing blood and thoughts. Close the eyes gently and perform a slow inventory of the body, from toes to scalp, releasing tension like untying knots. Each muscle surrendered is a shudder lowered on the external world, dimming the bright theater of daily concerns so the inner screen can illuminate. Breathe in for a count of 4, hold 2, exhale 6, hold 2. Repeat until breath moves of its own accord and awareness feels buoyant, as though your limbs were floating in warm water. Now introduce the chosen scene. Do not observe yourself from afar. Inhabit the moment in first-person intimacy. Feel fingers curl around the ceramic mug in your new office. Notice the faint hum of ventilation, the leather scent of a chair behind you. If envisioning reconciliation, sense the warmth of a loved one's shoulder beneath your cheek, the rhythm of their breathing. Add texture, perhaps a phrase spoken softly, a sparkle of light on polished wood. And most important, add emotion. Satisfaction should bloom within the chest, so natural you nearly forget the physical bedroom exists. Rewind the clip and replay it leisurely, not with strain, but with the delight of a favorite melody you cannot help but hum. Soon the borders of the scene will blur. Images may twist or fade. Resist the urge to wrestle them back into focus. Instead, trust that the impression has been stamped deeply enough and allow consciousness to slide into sleep. The subconscious will continue the rehearsal unattended, weaving thousands of subtle neural firings around that core picture, knitting it into the tapestry of what it regards as memory. And because life must organize itself to validate its memories, the days ahead will conspire to provide outer correlate to the inner rehearsal. Should you wake during the night, perhaps to turn over or use the restroom, greets the brief alertness as bonus creative time. Slip again into the imaginal clip as you settle back to sleep, reaffirming the script. Repetition interspersed with natural unconscious periods etches grooves of certainty, so deep that waking action becomes instinctive. You send the email, accept the invitation, read the article that leads directly to the opportunity, without recognizing that those moves were plotted in the midnight studio. If intrusive thoughts appear, doubts, anxieties, replayed quarrels, treat them as radio static. Do not battle. Instead, gently but firmly slide the mental dial back to your selected station. You may find it helpful to affix a physical sensation to the chosen scene. The curve of a doorknob, the crisp snap of currency between fingers, the texture of a partner's sweater. Sensory anchors steady the mind in stormy waters and accelerate absorption into the desired state. Some practitioners lament falling asleep before completing even a single loop. Celebrate rather than regret it. The quick descent suggests that the subconscious seized your words like a child hugging a new toy, pulling it under the covers for private play. The conscious mind is not the builder, it is the foreman who hands blueprints to the nocturnal crew. Once the plans are delivered, sleep is efficiency, not failure. Carry this discipline into daylight by sprinkling moments of deliberate hush throughout your schedule. Sit quietly for 60 seconds between meetings. Lower eyelids in parked car before stepping into a store. Pause in the restroom stall if nowhere else affords privacy. Use these micro-silences to drop briefly into the end scene feeling. A single inhalation suffices. Think of it as keeping embers alive between the large nighttime fires. Consistency impresses the subconscious that the imagined state is your habitual residence, not an occasional holiday. Measuring progress solely by external markers can breed impatience, so cultivate inner barometers instead. Notice an unforced smile when pondering the desire, a settled calm where anxiety once resided, a sense of playful curiosity about how fulfillment will show itself, rather than a frantic obsession with when. These shifts indicate that the seed has germinated, roots sipping unseen moisture long before the shoot breaks soil. Silence practiced in this way sharpens intuition perceptibly. You may experience what seems like precognition, overhearing your imagined congratulation from a stranger's mouth, glimpsing the exact office decor days before walking into it, predicting a phone call seconds before it arrives. Do not dismiss these incidents. Acknowledge them as reassuring postcards mailed from the future you have commissioned. Finally, remember that this nighttime ritual is not escapism. It is strategic alignment. You are aligning thoughts, feelings, and physiological state with a chosen outcome so thoroughly that the outer world must echo your inner command. Continue nightly until you feel the scene is no longer rehearsal but recollection, until gratitude wells up unbidden as though you were thanking life for something already deposited in your account. At that point, the bridge of incidents unfolds rapidly, sometimes with breathtaking elegance. As silence blossoms into tangible result and you wake one morning inside the very room you once visited, only in the hush between waking and sleep. Gratitude is often treated as a polite afterthought, a brief courtesy extended once the gift arrives, but in truth, it is the invisible tractor beam that draws the gift into your hands in the first place. Picture the universe as an orbiting swarm of possibilities. Health, wealth, affection, each one circling at varying distances from your present life. Gratitude functions like a magnetized field around your consciousness, pulling the chosen possibilities steadily inward until the orbit decays and the thing drops neatly into experience. Without that field, a desire may wander indefinitely, attracted one moment, repelled the next by doubts and complaints that reverse the polarity. Yet the instant consistent gratitude ignites, the trajectory stabilizes, and the desired state homes in on you as unerringly as a falling apple seeks the ground. The power of gratitude lies in the vibration it generates, a soft, resonant hum signaling that the wish is already met. Many speak thankful words while secretly lamenting absence. Such divided signals cancel themselves. Authentic gratitude is a felt state, a warmth that radiates from the chest as surely as breath rises and falls. To cultivate it, select a recent memory of receiving a surprise compliment, an unexpected refund. The simple pleasure of sunlight on your face, relive that moment until the body loosens and the mind sighs with recognition. Yes, life is kind. Now, without breaking the feeling, transfer the focus onto your current desire. Allow the same warmth to soak the mental picture of a paid in full invoice or a loved one's forgiving smile. In that moment, you are no longer wishing, you are thanking reality for a deliverable already in transit. The subconscious, unable to distinguish between physical fact and vivid emotional fact, records the scene as accomplished and begins organizing outer scenes to match. Skeptics protest, how can I feel grateful for money when my account is empty, or for health when pain throbs? Understand that you are not lying to yourself. You are speaking from a higher tier of reality where the blueprint exists. Gratitude is the signature acknowledging receipt of that blueprint, triggering the production line. Think of an online purchase. You click Confirm, a receipt appears. and you immediately feel pleased even though the package has not yet reached your door. The gratitude experience at confirmation is rational, because you trust the system between warehouse and doorstep. Likewise, trust the unseen system between imaginal acceptance and physical arrival. Gratitude energizes that system. A daily practice cements the habit. Each morning upon waking, before the mind recounts tasks or troubles, whisper 3 sentences beginning with, "I am thankful for." For example, pure forbears in anyone, phrased as though tangible, fiery rage as though tangible. I am thankful for the steady flow of inspired clients. I am thankful my body moves with supple ease. I am thankful for peaceful laughter filling our home. Pronounce each sentence once, then pause long enough to feel the truth of it settling in your nerves. Do not analyze how these conditions will materialize. Analysis jerks the seed from soil. Simply breathe and let the emotional resonance expand until it glows. This ritual sets your internal thermostat to the temperature of fulfillment. And the rest of the day, circumstances, meetings, chance encounters, shuffles to match, guard the feeling while moving through ordinary tasks. When a bill arrives or traffic jams, treat them as pop quizzes testing the strength of your magnetic field. Instead of sighing, pivot instantly to a statement of gratitude that includes the challenge. Thank you that abundance covers this expense with ease. Thank you for the extra minutes of solitude this slow traffic provides. Such reframing is not denial. It is deliberate transmutation of potentially disruptive energy into reinforcing energy. Each successful pivot thickens the field, making future pivots quicker, until gratitude becomes reflexive. A powerful accelerator is written thanksgiving. Take a notebook titled Evidence of Fulfillment, and each night list 5 ways the day hinted at your desire's approach. While manifesting a new career, you might note a stranger discussing an opening in your field, an insightful article appearing on your feed, or a sudden burst of enthusiasm while updating your resume. Treat each hint as a feather dropped by the migrating bird you wish to catch. The act of recording trains perception to notice alignment rather than delay, keeping morale high and frequency stable. Some complain that they practiced gratitude for a week, yet nothing happened. They misunderstand timing. Reality carries inertia. Scenes already in motion must complete their arc, even as new scenes queue behind them. Persistence in gratitude works like keeping a radio tuned despite static. Eventually the signal clears. Impatience is static. The moment you grumble it's not here yet, you flip polarity to repulsion. Pushing the desire outward again. Return swiftly to appreciation, not forced cheer, but calm trust that delivery schedules are being met behind the curtain. A farmer does not dig up seeds on day 7 to verify germination. He waters. He waits. He expects. Note, too, that gratitude refines desires, sometimes redirecting them. A person thankful for steady income may open their heart enough to realize that true joy lies in flexible hours rather than mere digits on a paycheck. The universe responds by offering freelance opportunities rather than a salary raise, which on the surface seems a detour, but in essence fulfills the deeper wish for freedom. Remain flexible. Gratitude anchors the essence, not always the exact form. If the alternate path evokes the same thankful hum, accept it and watch life bloom beyond original specifications. Advanced students extend gratitude backward in time through a method called revision. When past memories sting, rewrite them before sleep by imagining a kinder outcome and pouring thankful relief into that new scene. The subconscious accepts the edited reel, and astonishingly, the emotional charge of the original event dissolves. Soon present interactions shift to mirror the healed narrative. Gratitude therefore acts as both magnet for future blessings and solvent for past burdens, freeing vast creative energy once locked in regret. In social interactions, gratitude multiplies exponentially. Offer silent thanks for qualities you admire in others, from a colleague's diligence to a waiter's courtesy, and those traits amplify around you. People feel appreciated on levels below conscious awareness and respond with generosity, cooperation, and unexpected favors, further validating your state of abundance. The world becomes a hall of mirrors reflecting the thankfulness you radiate. Eventually, you will reach a threshold where gratitude is not a tool but a native language spoken automatically by the heart. At that stage, manifestation feels less like conjuring miracles and more like flipping through a catalog where every item is prepaid. You choose, you thank, you receive. Life, overhearing constant appreciation, rushes to provide ever richer reasons to say thank you, and the spiral of giving and receiving ascends without limit, each revolution lifting you into clearer vistas of possibility. A potter once confessed that the hardest moment in her craft is not when the clay is wet and malleable, but when the vessel has just been shaped and placed in the kiln. At that stage it looks fragile, uneven, perhaps even ruined by scorch marks. She must keep the kiln door closed, resisting every urge to peek, for opening it prematurely collapses the piece. Manifestation obeys the same law. The interval between imaginal formation and physical expression is a furnace of appearances designed to test endurance. Most people pry open the door too soon. They glance at half-baked evidence, declare the process a failure, and so destroy what was baking to perfection. Mastery, therefore, is the art of persisting in the unseen conviction until the glaze of reality cools into visible form. Persistence is not grim determination. It is quiet loyalty to the mood of the wish fulfilled. Begin by locating the emotional climate that proves your desire a fact. Perhaps the light-hearted confidence of solvency, the tender joy of reconciliation, the easy vigor of restored health. Wear that climate as you would a favorite fragrance, allowing its subtle notes to accompany you through errands, conversations, and solitary moments. From the outside, nothing may change at first. Bills may still arrive, relationships may bristle, pain may linger. These are only the scorch marks on clay, irrelevant to the eventual sheen. Reply to every contradictory signal with a silent, "Not my truth," then redirect attention to the felt certainty within. Repetition anneals the new state until it holds its shape without effort. Understand the principle of temporal lag. Everything you now experience was ordered from the catalog of consciousness some days, weeks, or months ago. Like light from distant stars, circumstances arrive after the original impulse has left your mental world. They have no creative power of their own. They merely report your prior thinking. When an unwanted report appears, treat it as stale news. Acknowledge it, but refuse to reorder it by brooding over it. Instead, place a fresh order. Imagine the scene as you prefer it, and let time's conveyor belt deliver the revision. The lag is mercy, allowing space to reverse decisions before they harden. Persistence uses that mercy wisely. A helpful exercise is the 10-second reset. Each time a discouraging fact intrudes, close your eyes if possible, and for 10 seconds, relive your end scene with heightened texture. The feel of the steering wheel in your new car, the scent of your partner's hair as peace returns, the effortless bend of joints that once ached. 10 seconds seem trivial, yet repeated dozens of times daily, they amount to minutes of concentrated creation, enough to tip the subconscious scale. Moreover, the promptness of the reset trains the mind to pivot before negative momentum gathers speed. Guard your conversations. Words spoken in casual chat are seeds as potent as those planted in solitude. If friends complain about the economy while you are nurturing wealth, resist joining their lament, even for politeness. Steer the talk gently toward opportunity, or fall silent and cultivate inner agreement with prosperity. Should they press, answer with phrases that neither argue nor concede. I expect things to open up for me soon. This statement neither mocks their perspective nor betrays your own. It is a shield that preserves the assumption you intend to keep alive. Persistence also requires selective blindness. A gardener does not dig up soil daily to check root growth. He waters, weeds, and trusts the arithmetic of seasons. You too must water your desire with attention and weed out gossiping doubts, trusting invisible arithmetic. Keep records of small convergences, a chance article, a supporting remark, a sudden idea, as proof that roots are spreading. Celebrate them quietly. They are heralds of the forthcoming bloom. When fatigue threatens resolve, employ the power of play. Turn persistence into a private game. How long can you remain in joyous expectancy before external facts pull you out? Time yourself like an athlete, not to shame lapses, but to beat your own record. If yesterday you lasted an hour, aim for 90 minutes today. Humor lightens effort and paradoxically deepens faith, for laughter is evidence that the burden has already lifted. Nighttime is your ally. As you drowse, the boundary between conscious and subconscious thins. Re-enter your fulfilled scene and fall asleep inside it, letting the soft rhythm of breath carry the mood deeper than waking concentration can reach. A night steeped in assumption outweighs a day of scattered worry, for the subconscious rehearses the scene repeatedly while you dream, multiplying its creative charge. Expect a bridge of incidents, events seemingly unrelated, that usher you toward fulfillment. Do not strain to identify them. Recognize them in hindsight by the thread of ease connecting them. A friend invites you to a gathering where a pivotal contact is made. A forgotten email surfaces with the exact information required. A book falls open to a sentence that solves a lingering dilemma. Such bridges rarely announce themselves in advance. Your task is simply to cross each plank that appears with gratitude, trusting the bridge builder who designed it. Beware the temptation of partial evidence. The first paycheck of a new income stream, the initial thaw in a frosty relationship, the early symptom relief. These are milestones, not destinations. Welcome them, yet continue to dwell in the complete picture. Settling too soon may freeze the process midway, like cooling the kiln before the glaze melts smooth. Thank life for the token, then resume the inner celebration of total fulfillment. Observe that persistence refines character. Sustained occupation of any noble state, generosity, success, harmony, gradually etches those qualities into your facial lines, your speech patterns, your posture. People will remark on a new glow, unaware that they witness the sculpting effect of unseen loyalty. Thus persistence not only fetches outer results, but transforms inner identity to match the prize, ensuring that you can comfortably inhabit the life you sought. Finally, treat setbacks as drills that strengthen imaginative muscle. Just as resistance bands build physical power by opposing motion, contradictory facts build creative power by challenging conviction. Each surpassed difficulty increases your capacity to assume greater states with less effort. One day you will look back on the very delays you cursed and bless them for tempering your faith to steel. Persist, therefore, with the serenity of one who knows that the clay is hardening, the kiln is cooling, and soon the vessel will emerge, glossed, strong, and perfectly shaped, to pour the blessings you claimed from the first moment you dared to imagine. When I first grasped the power of rewriting yesterday, I tested it on the smallest of irritations, a curt exchange with a shopkeeper who had shortchanged me. That evening, instead of replaying the offense, I closed my eyes and saw her face soften with patience, heard her apologizing for the error, and felt myself respond with effortless warmth. I rehearsed the scene until the feeling of mild annoyance melted into the quiet satisfaction of mutual respect. The next morning I returned to the same store, prepared only to keep inner harmony. Without prompting, she greeted me as though I were a long-lost friend, slipped an unexpected discount into my bag, and thanked me for my kindness the previous day. A kindness that, objectively speaking, had never occurred. The incident confirmed an astonishing law. The mind can reach back across the line we call time, repaint an event, and compel life to project the updated frame onto the screen of present experience. Understand that memory is not a static archive, but a living reel of film forever subject to editing. Each time you revisit a moment, you brush fresh color onto its images, strengthen certain contours, fade others. Most people do this unconsciously, adding darker shading, guilt, regret, resentment, until the picture ossifies and imprisons them in repeating patterns. Revision is the deliberate, artistic reversal of that habit. It transforms yesterday from tyrant to servant, instructing it to deliver better tomorrows. The reason it works is simple. The subconscious accepts vividly imagined scenes as factual records. Alter the record, and the subconscious, which governs responses and attracts circumstances, must reorganize reality so that the outer narrative matches the inner chronicle. Begin each night with a calm review of the day, as though sitting in a private cinema. Let the film roll from waking to bedtime. Where a scene displeases, perhaps a scolding supervisor, a costly mistake, a moment of self-doubt, press an inner pause. Now cut, rewrite, direct anew. Picture the supervisor praising your initiative, the error corrected before it spread, your voice ringing with confidence. Feel the relief, the pride, the joy of the improved outcome. Do not merely watch. Become the actor, hearing the congratulatory tone, sensing the firm handshake, inhaling the atmosphere of success. Fuse emotion with image until they are indistinguishable from lived memory. Then allow the film to proceed. By the time the credits roll, the entire day stands redeemed. Some worry that this practice is self-deception, yet every memory you possess is already a reconstruction. You have never stored events as raw footage. The brain keeps impressions, simplified, interpreted, tinged by feeling, then plays them back as though pristine. Revision simply takes command of an automatic process and steers it toward wholeness. Far from denying fact, it reaches beneath fact to the level of cause, and from there issues a new directive. In doing so, it frees the nervous system from the biochemical residue of regret and plants within it the hormones of victory. The body, receiving chemical proof that the past improved, adjusts posture, voice, expectation. The outer world echoes the change. For beginners, choose a single memory no more than 24 hours old. Fresh events are malleable, still warm like clay. If you argued with a partner, replay the moment up to the rising anger, then shift tracks, see the partner's eyes soften, hear a gentle apology. Speak your own in return. Slide into the sensation of harmony restored. Repeat until the sense of peace feels more plausible than the quarrels. Sleep immediately afterward, letting the subconscious anchor the new script. Often by morning you will receive a conciliatory text, a spontaneous smile over breakfast, or some other bridge leading to the very harmony imagined. Advanced students tackle deeper wounds, rejections from years ago, formative childhood embarrassments. Approach these with the same principle but greater patience. Enter the memory slowly. Adjust one sensory detail at a time, the lighting in the room, the expression on a critic's face, the words spoken. Replace sting with encouragement, ridicule with applause. Because such scenes may be charged with entrenched emotion, you may need multiple sessions, but every pass loosens the knot. Eventually the memory lies, gilded with gratitude and present-day patterns that grew from that painful seed. Self-sabotage, timidity, scarcity, wither for lack of sustenance. Revision also works prospectively. If you anticipate a difficult meeting tomorrow, mentally place it in yesterday's folder and revise it tonight as though it already happened splendidly. Hear the agreement signed, feel the weight of relief lifted. When the actual meeting arrives, you will enter it wearing a vibration of success so convincing that others instinctively conform. In this way, revision becomes prevision, a proactive calibration of future events through the language of altered memory. Cultivate an attitude of gentle detachment during the day, knowing that any rogue incident can be rewritten before sleep. This detachment eliminates the panic that feeds negative momentum. You stop battling circumstances in real time and instead note them for nightly editing, confident that the editor's desk wields greater power than the live set. Paradoxically, this calm poise often prevents fresh disturbances, for the world senses your unshakable authority and mirrors it back as smoother interactions. Keep a log titled Revised and Realized. Jot a brief note of each rewritten scene, date, original issue, new outcome, and leave space. When physical evidence later aligns, record it beside the entry. The growing ledger trains the analytical mind to accept revision as practical, not mystical, reinforcing commitment to the habit. It also reveals patterns. You may notice finances shift fastest, relationships more gradually, health improvements with rhythmic consistency. Such insights help focus your creative energy where it flowers most readily. Acknowledge, finally, that revision sharpens compassion. By granting grace to earlier versions of yourself and the people who crossed your path, you discover wells of forgiveness previously hidden. You stop defining anyone by their yesterday, including you, and start beholding every being as pliable clay on the wheel of imagination. In that atmosphere, relationships blossom, opportunities reappear, and life feels infinitely lighter, as though the past has not merely been healed, but transfigured into an ally eager to deliver fresh blessings each dawn. Faith is imagination disciplined into certainty, the serene awareness that what the senses deny today they must one day proclaim because an inner decree has outranked them. Think of consciousness as a royal court. Imagination is the monarch issuing edicts, while sight, hearing, and touch serve as messengers who eventually broadcast those edicts across the kingdom of experience. If the monarch hesitates, speaking a wish, then withdrawing it, then doubting it, confusion spreads, couriers deliver contradictory news, and disorder reigns. But when the ruler speaks once with calm finality, the messengers may ride through storms and rough terrain, yet they never doubt the authenticity of their mission. Faith is that single, steady proclamation. It is imagination so convinced of its own authority that it no longer asks the outer world for permission to believe. Cultivating such certainty begins with understanding the difference between hope and conviction. Hope glances anxiously at clocks and calendars, measuring distance between desire and fact. Conviction inhabits the destination now and lets time collapse as it may. You can test this internally. Close your eyes and state a wish in future tense. I will be prosperous. I will recover. And notice the subtle ache, the stretch of longing. Now, shift to present tense. I am prospering now. I am restored now. And feel the shoulders drop, the breath deepen. That ease is the signature of faith. It may flash only for a heartbeat before doubt floods back, yet even a flicker proves the state exists and can be lengthened by disciplined return. Discipline enters through selective attention. Imagine placing two bowls on a table, one labeled evidence for, the other evidence against. Throughout the day, every thought, newspaper headline, or conversation that supports your fulfilled desire is a pebble for the first bowl. Every contradiction is a pebble for the second. Most people unconsciously heap stones into the second bowl until it groans with weight. Then marvel that faith feels impossible. Reverse the habit. Deliberately hunt for even the smallest confirmations and drop them, one by one, into the bowl of fulfillment. A stranger's success story, an intuitive nudge, a coincidence aligning schedules, each counts. Soon the sight of pebbles piling high induces a buoyancy that makes further belief effortless. You have not forced faith, you have nourished it. Words are chisels shaping the inner statue of conviction. Speak aloud only what reinforces possession. If someone asks about your project, answer from the standpoint of completed triumph. It's unfolding beautifully. You'll see the results soon. Should you catch yourself uttering a disclaimer, "I'm trying," if luck holds, stop mid-sentence, correct it, and proceed. This self-correction is not mere etiquette, it is mental weightlifting. Each repetition strengthens neural circuits that broadcast certainty, while circuits of doubt atrophy from disuse. Silence, too, enforces discipline. Spend pockets of the day waiting in line, washing hands, in quiet communion with the unseen. Glide back into the texture of success as naturally as inhaling. Think of it as setting a metronome that keeps imagination in tempo. Every silent beat reinforces rhythm. Over time, the practice state hums beneath all activity like background music, so familiar you forget it is playing, until life's choreography matches its beat. Faith tempered by discipline does not flinch at obstacles. It interprets them as bridges. When a door slams shut, certainty assumes a hallway has opened just beyond sight and proceeds forward. This is not naive optimism. It is strategic non-resistance. By refusing to label events good or bad, faith robs appearances of power to unsettle. The mind stays poised, receptive to guidance that would be drowned by panic. In that poise, inspiration whispers, "Send this email, turn here, wait 3 days." And the obedient heart obeys without fuss, discovering later that these tiny steps form the precise staircase to the goal. Crucially, disciplined imagination does not bargain with time. Promises like "by next Friday" often stem from fear, masquerading as specificity. Instead, cultivate a timeless awareness. The outcome exists now in unseen form, and its physical debut will arrive in the most harmonious sequence. Trust that unseen intelligence manages scheduling better than the anxious intellect. When impatience bites, return to feeling. Ask, "Do I sense the reality within?" If yes, rest. If no, revisit the imaginal scene until warmth returns. This self-realignment achieves more than frantic action because it operates at the causal level. Still, action arises, spontaneous, unforced, brimmed with confidence. It may be as mundane as tidying a workspace or as bold as phoning a potential investor. Because faith already possesses the prize, actions feel like celebrations instead of trials, and their effectiveness multiplies. People respond to the quiet authority in your tone. Opportunities tilt conveniently, and what would once have seemed daring becomes the obvious next move. Should doubt surge, perhaps after an unwelcome email or a discouraging medical report, treat it as muscle fatigue during exercise. Pause, breathe, and recall past victories. Memory is faith's archive. Open its files and re-experience moments when life answered your inner conviction precisely. Reliving one solid success can silence a chorus of uncertainty. Then resume the imaginal stance, reinforced by evidence that this process is not theory but law. At advanced levels, faith chooses states purely for the joy of mastery. You might imagine receiving an unexpected handwritten letter simply to watch it appear, or picture rain on a clear day for the thrill of influence. These playful experiments keep conviction supple, like a pianist running scales. They also remind you that nothing is too trivial or too vast for disciplined imagination. Promotions, healings, global movements, all bend to the same principle: assume, persist, and witness. Ultimately, certainty ripens into identity. You no longer practice faith, you are faith in motion. The desired reality feels as innate as your name, and the world adapts itself around that fact with minimal delay. People remark on your luck, unaware they stand in the gravitational field of someone who has trained consciousness to remain unwaveringly true to its inner picture. And just as the sun need not announce dawn, the disciplined mind need not announce accomplishments. It radiates an assurance so luminous that results speak on its behalf, confirming that imagination, once yoked to certainty, commands creation with quiet, effortless sovereignty. The journey we have traced, from the first spark of yearning to the serene certainty of accomplishment, reveals one unbroken thread. Consciousness is the sole author, and imagination, disciplined by feeling, is its indispensable pen. You have seen how a single inner sentence vibrates outward until the solid world hums its echo, how every desire is a divine blueprint awaiting your signature of conviction, how the running commentary in your mind drafts tomorrow's headlines before ink touches paper, how the hush before sleep becomes a workshop where unseen carpenters fit dreams into frames. How gratitude magnetizes possibilities, persistence fires them in the kiln of time, and revision redeems missteps so completely that even yesterday bows to your present decree. How finally faith, matured through daily practice, moves from effort to effortless identity, speaking once and knowing it is done. Take these principles then and weave them into the ordinary fabric of ours. Let each fresh desire be greeted not with uncertainty, but with a welcoming nod. Ah, another visitor sent to expand my estate. Speak to yourself as one already in possession. At the mirror, in traffic, under the starlight on your balcony. Protect the silence before sleep as carefully as you would guard a vault, depositing only visions that enrich. Wake each dawn in thankful anticipation, for the invisible couriers have traveled through the night to draw your world one step nearer to the pictured ideal. When appearances contradict, smile at the lag, knowing the film already carries your edited scene and the projector must catch up. Soon the interval between imagining and obtaining will shrink until events flow so swiftly that life itself feels like a continuous affirmation of your inner certainty. Friends will call it coincidence, strangers will label it fortune. You will simply recognize the harvest of seeds long tended in the secret garden of thought. And as each harvest ripens, may you recall that the most generous act is to sow again, choosing yet grander visions not merely for personal gain, but for the uplift of all who share your orbit. For when imagination rules with the grace of gratitude, the firmness of persistence, the elegance of revision, and the quiet majesty of faith, its kingdom extends far beyond the borders of any single life. It brightens streets, rescues hopes, and writes new songs into human history. So close your eyes now, if only for a breath, and feel the soft click of destiny locking into place. Hear the gentle verdict issued by the depths of your own being. It is accomplished. Rise from that moment and conduct your affairs as the living proof, confident that every step you take is met by a world already reshaping itself to honor the picture you carry within.